we have to understand that just because polyester is used in certain applications to make the item cheaper and to make the company more profit, that is not always the case when it comes to military gear and garments, because it needs to be. Woohoo, check it out. Not this gaming wheel for my gaming channel, but in this bag we have a very cool vintage trouser. This is the OG-507 apparently. Let's get it open and see. And there we have it, the old school vintage army pant, the OG-507. These are made with a blend of cotton and polyester, and I typically prefer natural materials, but feels nice. We'll get these on as well. Belt loop is offset from the seam, which is quite smart, so it's not bulky. In fact, when I put my hand there, it feels the same width. That's nice. So simple, but you would be surprised that companies don't think about stuff like that all the time. And here we have the kind of sizing tag in here. 32 by 31, 84050061028119. That is the OG-507. And here we have the OG-507s, the cotton poly mixture. And I can't really put the belt on because here's a K&KG bag, by the way. Very cool military style bag, nylon. This thing's amazing. It's constructed amazingly. Check out my video on that. And this belt is now kind of a little bit too large for me because I'm less fat. I'll probably have to pick up a new full grain leather belt. This is a Gustin. I already, or I could punch a new hole in there, but I actually prefer to explore new things, you know? I mean, look at that. Look at that. These feature the patch pockets both on the back side and on the front side so that they can be easily repaired. You know, you can just replace that. The high rise, as you've probably noticed, belly button's like right there, and I kind of prefer that. I prefer the wider leg as well. It's not even as wide as I thought it would be, which is better because I definitely don't prefer like a super wide leg. But these seem to work pretty well. They have the creasing on both sides, the front and the back side. Very high quality. And they'll last longer than the 100% cotton ones, the OG-107s, which is a good thing, you know, functional fashion. That's kind of what Splished is about, utilizing things for the purposes they serve in your life. And for me, something a little bit more durable is nice because you'll also get to see a patina and get a little bit beat up, a little bit frayed, and you can do the same thing with a cotton one. But just bear in mind that those won't last as long, and these are fairly lightweight. These are going to be lighter weight than the cotton ones as well. So they're lighter weight, more durable, and ultimately will probably serve you better. When you think about it, most military gear is mixed with polyester. Like when I was in the military, our ACUs or whatever they were called were a mixture of cotton and poly. A little bit of polyester does go a long way if it's intentional. That's why I don't dislike synthetics entirely, because if there's intention to it, it makes a lot of sense. This is nylon, and this thing is going to last through so much, way more than I will. I mean, I'll be gone and this thing will still be around. It may be faded and beat up, but it'll keep living on. And yo, these things, they have such a vintage smell to them. I'm going to take them off now so I can wash them. I'll probably just throw them in a delicate cycle, cold wash, nothing fancy, line dry, right out here. And yeah, I'm loving the fit. It's interesting how nice it kind of fits. I thought it was going to be way more wide-legged at the bottom, but it's not. And I actually like the length as well. These are size, what were they? 32 by 31. And having that breakdown at the bottom I prefer, because then when you're sitting, they start to hike up a bit, right? And that's kind of the perfect length, so it's not just straight up showing my soccer leg. And here we have the OG-507s with this old school Indiana Jones leather jacket and these Red Wing Iron Ranger boots with this dope fur felt Stetson. Now, when it comes to these nice old school vintage army pants, I would say that the fit for me, like what I prefer when it comes to styling, when it comes to width and stuff like that, it's preferred. Like, I love this kind of width, especially around the thigh. I have fairly large thighs, and this fits my thighs, I would say, perfectly. Not perfect in the sense of like a skin tight fit, perfect in the sense that I can variably move. I can work in these all day long, especially because what I mentioned, they're a little bit lighter than the OG-107s because they are polyester and cotton, not just 100% cotton, which is naturally going to be heavier. It will naturally retain more water when it gets wet, and if you do get wet, this will dry faster with the polyester in there. We have to understand that just because polyester is used in certain applications to make the item cheaper and to make the company more profit, that is not always the case when it comes to military gear and garments, because it needs to be functional. And there's how it looks with the 31-inch inseam when you're sitting. That's why I tend to prefer inseams slightly longer than my natural inseam, because it will actually give you a little bit more length so that your socks aren't really showing, although of course you can see them here, but not so bad, right? I've now been wearing these OG-507s for a few days, like a few days in a row, getting some loose strings coming out a bit. And look at these buttons. These are really nice looking old school buttons. The construction is super simple, but very nice. It's nice and thin, breathable, lightweight, but very durable, as I can attest to, as I've been kind of beating this up in the desert already.